Before you watch this video, click on the link below to check out more information on the ultimate lifestyle transformation. Doing psychedelic medicine for over 2 decades myself, I realized that you can only go as deep as the vessel is clean. This is a whole body cleanse. It cleans out the blood, the liver, the kidneys, and the colon, preparing you for that psychedelic journey. And when you come home, it helps with all the vitamins, minerals, and enzymes you need to integrate the experience properly. It's Troy Casey, certified health nut, here at BEOND Addiction Treatment Ibogaine Clinic in Cancun, Mexico, with Talia. Talia and her partner Tom invited me down here to participate in this psychedelic journey. I've had knowledge that I would be doing Ibogaine for 10 years. And Ibogaine, I heard about it many years ago. And the opportunity provided itself. I always have deeper work to do on my own psychology, my own spiritual journey. And so I was excited to be invited down here. And the experience has been beautiful, amazing, arduous. The ceremony itself was arduous. The care here was incredible. The nursing staff, the medical staff, the hospitality staff, the chefs, Tom and Talia are very attentive. The psychologists that were here, everything is world-class, 5-star, world-class. The facility is very clean. I felt very comfortable, the ability to go deep. And I'm gonna have Talia interview me because I have so much going on and process that if I start talking about it, it might come out a little bit jumbled. So she's gonna help me get specific. The Ibogaine treatment, it started working before I even came down to Cancun. I said some very deep prayers, and within a week, I was booked to come down here, within a week. And so you think God's not listening, and even I have that question in my mind, and boom, here I was doing this deep work. And a lot of the things I've been working for my own psychology, and the name of the center is called BEOND, B-E-O-N-D, BEOND.us is the website. I highly recommend it for anyone who is looking for a deeper spiritual journey. Definitely addiction. I witnessed some of the other brothers that were here while I was here. Addicted to Suboxone pills, pain pills, Percocet, taking many Percocets a day, 50 to 60. And after the treatment, they had no withdrawals. So that was pretty miraculous. And so I did plenty of research. I went through the experience. It was powerful. I had about 10 hours of horror that I witnessed, and I realized, that was living inside of me and part of my own psychology and makeup. And again, I'm still processing all of this. And so
maybe you can, I think, what's interesting is you came down and we have a whole addiction track, and then we have a trauma and sort of mood track for people with depression, anxiety, PTSD. You specifically came because you have some anger, had some anger issues. And maybe you can,
heavy reactive patterns.
Maybe you can share that. I think, now after watching hundreds of people come through our facility, it makes sense that you have anger and your visions were so destructive and dark.
Disturbing.
Yeah, because I think people see what they're holding in their psyche during Ibogaine, for sure, and it's almost like a cleansing. But maybe you can talk a little bit about your intentions and then how you feel now on the other side, like if it was healing, you're 4 days out now from the Ibogaine.
So, my addiction process started many years ago. Coming out of Miami in the 90s, I cleaned up my life from alcoholism and heavy drug use. And I started with Vipassana meditation to get to the root level of the mind. And it's been a process. I did many years of ayahuasca in the Amazon. And so it's always been this journey and quest to find peace within inside myself. And so this is, this is part of the continuation of that journey. I don't think we've ever arrived spiritually. I think we can have some insights and some clarity, but we're always going to the next level. Gnosis, praxis, and telecus, the Greeks would say, to know, to do, to become. And it's an ever-evolving process. And so, if I could summarize my experience and understanding of what I saw, I would say that, yes, I came down to work on refining the peace inside of my own life, less extreme reactive patterns. You can call that anger. You can call what was driving that even before I burst out, maybe anxiety. And that's what I used to kill when I was drinking alcohol, was killing that anxiety that now I've found in my practices that I teach so much online.
At one point I saw you doing so we have a lot of integration support here, both somatic, we have Qigong and we have art therapy and we have yoga and daily massage to get, things moving out of your body. But you were doing your own thing called the loony bin.
The loony bin loop.
Yeah.
You guys have seen me do the loony bin loop.
I was like, what is he doing? I looked up, I was on like a Zoom call and you're like serpentining about the backyard with weights in your hand. You look drunk essentially. But
yeah, well,
cool.
I developed it, in the whole drunken monkey Qigong style that I do, kind of falling off balance and getting dynamic stretches into my body and feeling goofy. And I had neurological issues with the black mold exposure that I had, which I was also very interested in seeing what type of results this treatment could give me for that, because I wasn't feeling very well the last few months. And so to walk it out, I did this when I was on ayahuasca years ago, to walk it out, to integrate the medicine, to integrate the experience, and to get some flowing movement into my body, I developed that style of walking. And it just reminds me of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, where people are just kind of going crazy and they're walking around outside. I think there was a scene in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when they went outside and they were all kind of just rambling around. And so it was like chaos.
It makes sense because you're sort of walking without a plan. We use our intellect a lot and we use our minds to make decisions and strategize. And this is more body-based. You just go with it, like ecstatic dance or something.
Ecstatic dance, and it's very fluid and it's very healing. It gets me out of my mind and loosey-goosey, and it just feels oh so good. Plus you're grounded to the earth. I usually like to do it on grass and get that flow going. And so that integration was very healing for me. So again, back to my process, just really seeing the horror show that I watch with a lot of death and destruction, and kind of just the way life is and how much pain and anguish human beings have suffered on this planet through the wars, through World War II, Hitler, Stalin, the barbarians, the Mongols, the medieval times, and those images coming up, and I realized it was so horrific, and that is somewhere inside of me. And so, and that makes sense because some of my reaction patterns can go from 0 to 100 in a blink of an eye. And so
you said you felt like a shaking, which is very interesting, right? When this was coming up, like it was almost cleaning you or clearing you, or
well, I feel the medicine. You get tremors when I got up to go to the bathroom. I needed to be held up by the nurse, and so, but I felt like 10 hours of jostling my energy. And somebody told me the Bwidis, they dance like that as well, and I like to shake a lot, and so and do bioenergetics. And so, for 10 hours, whether it was my receptor sites or my neurology or my cells, it was buzzing. In fact, the auditory hallucinations that I heard had a component like, And, you know, this went on for hours and hours. And so, yeah, so the only thing I can say is I'm still going through it, guys. You know.
Yeah, I mean, can you talk a little bit about, I think people, you know, many people have psychedelic experiences. Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to have therapy before and after, you know, psychedelic assisted therapy, and how that can change your experience versus just doing a psychedelic in a vacuum? Like, I walked by you at one point, you were meeting with one of the therapists, and I was so happy to see you like weeping, because I thought that was great, because usually anger, I mean, I can relate. There's a lot of sadness and grief under that we don't let ourselves feel, and we're taught not to in our society. But like, maybe talk about the process there of how you prepared with the therapist and then were able to do some integration work, and how that would be different than just doing a psychedelic,
doing it
at a
on
concert or on your own or in your bedroom with no support before and after.
Well, it's good that we speak into that. Can you hand me that water, please? Because, you know, no, the other one. The internet is full of people, and then there's even trolls on there that'll start, you know, hey, contact this guy, he can get it for you, delivered to your house, you know? And it's like, no, guys. This stuff's not child's play.
Especially with Ibogaine, because of the safety risks, I think, too. Yeah.
So the professionalism provided here at BEOND, you know, it's a true healing center. There's associated risk with Ibogaine as far as the heart goes, and, you know, other factors. And so they have a complete medical staff that are monitoring you. You do, you pee in a cup, they take your blood, they do EKGs, they're constantly monitoring you. And there's at least 2 psychologists, you know, facilitators. There's multiple facilitators here. There's yoga teachers, there's Talia and Tom. Like, people are here and able to talk to you. And I think this is a big part of the process, is really to get it out. Because we have so much bravado in the world, and fake it till you make it, and hustler type energy, and nobody wants to admit their mistakes and show their vulnerability, including myself. Right? You know, and so, I mean, I do like to show my vulnerability, but there's a time and place for that. And this place really disarms everything. You know, the food is provided for you. It's very nutritious. You can go and rest in your room. And then I worked, you know, I took full advantage of the psychologists that were here, because I do have some challenges in my life, and I do choose to be better and to grow and to get out of my own way and see my blind spots. And so, so working with Antonio and Brandon, the psychologists, it helped me process. And what I realized was, Brandon actually asked me, can you acknowledge that you're suffering? And that's kind of hard, you know, because I kind of want to act like I have it all together, you know, and that can be challenging. And then maybe, you know, I feel that some of the horror show that I saw was maybe ancestral or DNA or deeper inside my psyche, that didn't necessarily come from my childhood or this lifetime. And then I think there's other layers that are attached to my childhood, with abandonment and other issues that I kind of know about, but at 57 I'm like, okay, I got that, okay, moving on, right? I've dealt with that many times, okay, moving on. But there's still residual. There's a certain level of peace that I desire and require in my lifetime, and I have not necessarily yet achieved that level of peace. And so, yeah, I can fight my way through it with bravado and cover it up with business or exercise or any of those other things. And I know the trap, even for my clients. I see somebody running, for example, and they're always running, and it's like, what are you running away from? Yeah, you like to run for exercise, but what are you running away from? So I know that principle. And then, you know, I look inside myself, even with just all the doings that I do. And so right where I'm at right now is I've slowed down a lot, and it's hard for me to process being slow. because normally I'm like, hey, let's do it, and let's get on camera, and let's entertain the souls of the peepholes, and
The souls of the people.
and so yeah, I mean, lots to process. Would you go back to BEOND? Yes, absolutely. I mean, this place is world class. I mean, you should be only so fortunate to come down here. I mean, it'll change your life whether you have sobriety issues or addiction issues or mental health issues. But definitely if you have mental health issues and if you have addiction issues, get down here as soon as possible. I know they're expanding. There's so much research. The PTSD research from the Navy SEALs came in and they did MRI scans for 6 months, and the changes are profound. And so massive amounts of research on this plant. And
then you got to witness, and then of course there's a lot of research related to addiction too for Ibogaine. And someone asked, what addictions does this help with? And to be honest, it works, of course, for opiates and cocaine and other chemical dependency addictions, but also we get people who have sex addictions, food addictions. It interrupts the behavior, but it also helps heal the deeper trauma underneath. So we see that often as well. But I think what was really interesting was you had, there's an epidemic in our country right now where every 5 minutes someone dies of an opiate overdose. It's the #1 killer under 40. And you were able to talk to a 22-year-old male who's here right now, addicted to fentanyl, who is willing to do whatever it takes to get this medicine because people around him are dropping like flies. You got to, I think, it's very hard to see. We don't see sometimes, even living in the U.S., how tough it is related to this specific epidemic. So,
yeah, there's a 20-year-old kid that's here right now, and he's got problems with fentanyl and heroin, and he's a nice kid from Wisconsin, and but this is a serious epidemic, and this isn't the only one. We already know that Purdue Pharmaceuticals has been sued and lost and has been paying out for many lawsuits because of direct responsibility for the opioid crisis with Oxycontin, right? Many nefarious marketing tactics from that pharmaceutical company to addict blue-collar workers and uneducated people. And these aren't, that's why we have to look at addiction differently. It's not just a bunch of strung out, street people that are all messed up and that's what they choose. No, people get caught up in this. They get injured, they get some back pain, they get on these pills, and then they can't get off of them. They don't have the tools. And so it's a much, it's a much bigger, picture issue with this. And so all I can say, if you guys, doctors created the opioid crisis through the pharmaceuticals, through incentives. And so, I'm curious to, continue to see my unfoldment of this experience as I go home. And, there's been some ups and downs since my treatment. I had a euphoric day, and then I've had a couple other down days. I took another booster because I feel that medicine's powerful. And also I wanted to take my nervous system down a notch, and I do believe I have that. I don't know how that translates until I get out to the regular world. It's been nice being sequestered in this little compound here.
I think you're finally leaving today.
I am.
I mean, I'm sad that you're leaving. Someone mentioned that you should join as a counselor here. I totally agree. Can we hire you for like 1 week stints? It would be great.
I'd love it, man. I would love it.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how you do in the world. Are there like 3 practical things you're going to do differently to integrate, or anything you talked about like with your therapist today that you're working on?
Acknowledging the sadness, doing softer practices. It's funny, he said there's a Spanish word called apapacho, where you kind of pat certain parts of your body. Well, he asked me where the pain was today, and I said in my heart and my stomach, and he said, and he said it's called apapacho. And the funny thing is I've been petting or patting my children, even when they were little babies, since the beginning. And, partly it was because I think I missed that as a child, or I missed that in part of my healing process. And so just a little, tapping practice like that, apapacho. And so, and that feels good. And I think I remember doing that in the Amazon when I was drinking ayahuasca down there many years ago. Because I would do it to the children when I was feeding them or just soothing them to sleep. And so those practices, journaling, I bumped up my meditation practice since the beginning of the year. And so journaling and just paying, closer attention. And, there's definitely some relationship stuff that I want to clear up. I'm praying that I don't have as much of a charge, because I get so triggered, especially in those old relationships where there's been so much trauma and abuse, gaslighting, not being heard. We all play little mental gymnastics games with each other and survival mechanisms. And my objective is to be a Zen master and not get so triggered. And so,
yeah.
And I definitely come down a notch. I just don't know how it translates.
You changed a lot. We had dinner the night that you arrived, maybe a week ago or something. There was that fire ceremony and the barbecue, and you were, a totally different energy, and you're very upset about certain things in your life. You're like super calm now. It's beautiful to see. There's a sense of peace that I feel, and you're a deeper listener too. I can feel that, like just hanging out the past few days.
Well, that makes sense, because I was always like on edge and like, okay, get the information. Okay, let me react to that. Okay, and it was always like, okay, I hear you. And then what about this? Or what about that? Or my histrionics or my entertainment or, but don't look at me. Don't look inside of me. Right? This whole like song and dance. And so
the role, the show, yeah.
Yeah, my buddy, the Marine Recon, Rudy Reyes, he told me it has to do with threat assessment. So when you get in a room, you size up, who's the potential threat, and then you can go into entertainment mode or deflection mode or hiding hiding mode.
Yeah.
Instead of just being fully present. And I'm someone who prides myself on being present. And so I guess there's always layers to the game. And so, in an effort to bring you guys more fun, freedom, and phenomenon, reporting live from planet Earth, this is Troy Casey, going through another powerful psychedelic spiritual, experience. And I'm so grateful for you, Talia, and talking to Talia and Tom. These guys have been through it. They're like, I'm so resonant with them. Like, we all have no judgment, and we're just like, yeah, I understand that, and I understand that. There's no judgment around addiction and just talking about these deeper components. There's no judgment with the staff, and then that makes the patients more open. Because I could tell when new ones come in, they don't know, who's going to be on, like if they have to be on edge, and then nobody's on edge, and then
they just let go. We've heard that a lot from now, so many clients coming through. They say, like, at first, we don't know what to do. We walk in and you guys all hug us and you look right into our eyes with smiles, and we think it's bullshit at first, we can't believe this is real. But then we're able to fully let go and just be seen for who we are, not what we've done or the mistakes that we've made. And I think, that's love. If you can provide that, then people feel that they're worthy. And they don't have to do anything to earn it, which is something that my husband taught me, actually. But it's rare, and my grandmother, it's a very rare gift to be loved in that way. So I'm glad you feel that here. Thank you.
Yeah, did you have any more questions? Because I think we could wrap this up. And so
I think there was one question about your name, which means
here we go.
Foot soldier. What are you fighting right now? Foot soldier means Troy means foot soldier. Yeah. What are you fighting right now in the world? Are you fighting anything today?
I'm fighting for peace and harmony. I'm fighting for my own salvation. And so what kind of people go to BEOND or were around you?
I think there's a doctor here right now, right?
Yes, there is a
Client.
pain specialist doctor from Tampa, and he's also a psychedelic researcher. Very smart guy. And then I met a venture capitalist CEO guy. He had pill addiction, and he had a really powerful experience. Well, the treatment didn't even last that long. It was about 4 hours, and he was just like, but his whole measurement was like, I don't feel any withdrawals. And he was taking many pills a day, and for many years. And so
then there's another man that was here from Vegas. We won't say his name, of course, but he didn't come for addiction at all. He came
spiritual.
His he had someone just passed away very close to him,
and so he was interested in doing spiritual work, and he also does he does psychedelics. I think he's done Ibogaine before, Iboga, and ayahuasca. And so he was here like me for spiritual studies and healing. It's not just spiritual studies. I came here for healing. Let's not mince words. Are people's addictions private and confidential amongst the participant? Well, people talk pretty openly about what they're dealing with here. I mean, obviously for the clinic, it's confidential. We're not releasing names or anything like that. But by all means, yes, people are very open.
You can be as open as you want.
Right.
There's groups where you can share, there's workshops, but if you don't want to share, you don't have to. But typically people become vulnerable because they feel it's a safe place, and it's professional and they feel heard, and I think people come really wanting to heal, so they end up sharing. But certainly you don't have to if you don't want to. Maybe you just want to with your private therapist. So.
Did you have another question?
I think that's about it.
Okay.
We talked about it.
Yeah.
How you're going to bring the change in the world. You're journaling more. You're being more present to your sadness. And that's great. Maybe you can update everybody in like a week on how you're doing.
Yeah, I will. I'll keep you guys posted. Somebody asked why Iboga is banned in the countries. There's heart indications, and we live in a pharmaceutical medical world with many legalities set up by the same structures that created it. And so this is a plant that's been used in Africa for eons, and
it was banned in the 70s with many other psychedelics. There was very little research on this, and it's just a lack of knowledge, right? Lack of education, and hopefully that will change, because I would love for this to be more available to people in the U.S. who need it. It's very expensive because we have 30 employees and a very intense and robust medical protocol, medical professionals, and then of course a lot of alternative medicine practitioners and therapists. So it is expensive for the average person, and wouldn't it be great to be able to help the people that can't afford to travel or afford these prices? So I think, as the world becomes more and more open to psychedelics and the more and more research comes out, there will be policy shifts, and we're already starting to work with people in the U.S. around that, because we get so many inquiries, and we can only take a few scholarship cases a month, really of mothers who are living in their cars and have children, really sad cases and people deserve a chance, so that's where my heart is.
So somebody asked, what's the cost? It's about $10,000 to $15,000 depending. I'm on more of a spiritual journey. I think it's 6 days, but some of these guys are here for 10 to 14 days. So there's variations of that, but that's a good ballpark. Somebody else, I think Ali Paz, asked if the essence of the drug, so the essence of Ibogaine. So my understanding is it cleans the receptor sites. The action, it's a psychedelic, but it's also a purgative. If you're going to take the Iboga bark itself, this is an extract of the bark. It's not synthesized, and so there can be nausea, you can puke. And so,
Some traditions call it getting well.
getting well.
That's
Yes.
a reframe.
Yes.
The bile and some of the poison toxins in our body.
I just feel like that vibration just jostles all the garbage out of your nervous system and receptor sites, and I feel much clean. But again, feeling clean and not agitated at the core level is weird for me. I think I'm weak, right? I feel vulnerable. I feel not as strong, right? But I know that that's not the truth. You know, there's strength and vulnerability, 100%. Open source entheogens, Iboga, father of the forest, grandfather of the world. Okay, guys, I love you so much.
Bye. Thank you all.